Welcome to the black metal party that never stops. This is One on One with the Grim One, and I am your host, the Joan Rivers of black metal, the master of disaster, slayer of posers, the Necrosexual.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's go, baby. All go, no slow. And joining me from the most hellish place on the East Coast, we have a guest of a different kind. Of course, Alex Jones, the other Alex Jones, from the band Undeath. Alex, how are you, baby?
I'm doing good, man. I didn't realize I was talking to the Joan Rivers of black metal. I'm a little intimidated right now. That was also the best introduction I think I've ever gotten.
Hell
so
yeah.
Thank you.
I pride myself on my lack of professionalism. And you've had one hell of a year. Undeath, a bit of a dark horse of death metal, who just came out and melted people's faces off with your new album, Lesions, of a different kind. And it made many album of the year lists and received many accolades. But I feel like you haven't really made it unless you've been interviewed by someone wearing corpse paint in their bedroom. So welcome to the big time, kid.
I completely agree, man. This is a huge step up, and I'm just pumped to be here.
Hell yeah, I'm pumped to be here in my room talking to yours because we're in the pandemic, but more on that later. So this is, of course, one-on-one with the Grim One. That means that we talk about a whole array of topics, but among them, there's nothing more passionate than two metalheads totally geeking out over some totally obscure cult bedroom black metal shit.
Yep.
And so what I like to do is talk to my guests and talk about one album that holds a special place in their hearts. So give it to me, Alex. What album did you select to discuss with me, baby?
Architects of Troubled Sleep. I guess it's 3: Architects of Troubled Sleep by the Toronto hardcore band Cursed.
Cursed, indeed. And this is an album, it looked a little bit familiar because it had John from Baroness, another Philly dude, with the album cover. But unlike Baroness, this shit was really hard, filthy hardcore punk. And I never heard of it. So it's always fascinating to learn from about something that is completely unexpected from the great north of Canada. And why did this album hold such a special place in your soul, baby?
That's a great question. Do you want like the long form answer, or do you want the really short answer? I can do both too.
Sure, baby. I got all day.
All right. The short answer is it's fucking sick, and that's why I love it. The long answer is when I was 16, 17, when I first heard it, hardcore, there was a big hardcore scene in Rochester, but the prevailing style of hardcore that was really popular was more like tough guy beatdown type stuff. And the shows were fun, but the music never really did much for me. And Curse was a band that I was introduced to at that same time, and they were just the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Chris Colohan, the singer, just had this really amazing, sarcastic kind of lyrical sensibility.
Welcome to the black metal party that never stops. This is One on One with the Grim One, and I am your host, the Joan Rivers of black metal, the master of disaster, slayer of posers, the Necrosexual.
Let's fucking go.
Yeah, let's go, baby. All go, no slow. And joining me from the most hellish place on the East Coast, we have a guest of a different kind. Of course, Alex Jones, the other Alex Jones, from the band Undeath. Alex, how are you, baby?
I'm doing good, man. I didn't realize I was talking to the Joan Rivers of black metal. I'm a little intimidated right now. That was also the best introduction I think I've ever gotten.
Hell
so
yeah.
Thank you.
I pride myself on my lack of professionalism. I interviewed with this bedroom interview format back in last April. So you mentioned you listened to this album when you were 16 years old. What was it like hearing it for the first time? Take me back there, baby.
Dude, it was mind-blowing. I mean, the intro to that album is like one of my favorite intros on any album to this day. It starts with this like minute 30-second kind of like sound collage introduction with all these newscasters talking about things, and then there's a sample. It's just like, I'll just never forget the first time I heard it, where I still don't know where it's from. Maybe somebody can help me figure it out, but it's this guy and he's like, go shopping, go back to the mall, go back to your normal lives. We'll take care of it. And then Chris, the singer, just comes in with this like gut-wrenching scream and like with just a blast underneath it. And like the first time I heard that, I was just like, holy fuck, like this is so good. And it just blew my mind. It just completely blew my mind apart. And to this day, every time I listen to it, I get goosebumps. It's just like such an amazing intro.
Go shopping on Discogs for this one, baby.
I think they repressed it recently, so you might still be able to find it.
Yeah, and this album came out, I believe, in 2008, 2009.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Maybe a little earlier? Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, and the band, like, have you followed the band since then? Because it seems like that was, their last one or one of their last records. So they
I think they did a 7-inch after that. Maybe like one more release. I'm pretty sure they just had a 7-inch that came out afterwards, and then that was it. I know, excuse me, they had like a really ill-fated European tour where they got like all of their gear and merch stolen from them, and I think they were already kind of like going south personally around that same time, so that was just kind of like the final straw. And then they broke up, and they've all gone on to do other things. As far as I know, Chris is still like in a ton of bands. He played in that band Burning Love. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they were sort of like more rock and rolly hardcore type stuff. And he plays in that band Sect, I think they're called now. They're like a vegan straight edge band with Andy Hurley from Fall Out Boy. Not really so much my thing, but I mean, he's still in bands, and you know, I gotta give props to him for that.
Yeah, heavy metal lifers.
100%.
Totally cult. And if there's one thing from that album that you take away from it, what is that?
It's Chris Colohan's like swag. It's just his whole steez was just so sick to me when I was younger and more impressionable. He was so different than so many other hardcore frontmen, where like the only things they cared about was just hardcore and like respect and unity, and he was just actually saying about shit that was important to him and in like a meaningful societal way. And I just, that always resonated with me. That always stuck with me. And I think that to this day, his lyrical approach and his vocal approach is the thing that I'll always remember from that album.
And you have to give a lot of respect to bands that break up and stay broken up these days. Seems like it's a rarity.
Yeah, dude. I feel like, and I know I'm going to say this and they're going to immediately get back together, but I feel like that band is one of those bands that's just never going to have a reunion. I feel like there was like some drama with their guitarist or something, and I think those guys just like do not want to do that band anymore, which it's fine with me because I feel like, you know, it's better to just let the past be the past, you know?
The nail is in the coffin, and it paves the way for new bands, least of which being Undeath. You got this killer, heavy, skull-crushing death metal album, Lesions of a Different Kind. I'm sure you got to be flying pretty high off of that excitement, baby.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I'm stoked that people like it. I'm really overwhelmed at like all of the positivity that people have been showing it, and you know, I'm just happy and kind of relieved that people are into it, because you're always kind of worried that you're going to put an album out and everyone's going to hate you. But I'm just stoked that people like it.
Yeah, I know a thing or two about that. And I knew Undeath was going to be some hot shit when Luke Gary from Bloodsport and Basilisk, another Rochester boy, sang his high praises about you. It was like 2017 or 18. And then a few years later, bang, the album's here. You are the throat piece of Undeath. So what do you bring to the table when it's time to head into the studio or hit the stage and melt people's faces off?
Well, first of all, I just want to shout out Luke, shout out Bloodsport, shout out Basilisk. I mean, Luke is the man. Appreciate him saying that.
And you can pronounce Basilisk the right way, so also respect to you. People like Basilisk, but so good job.
Basilisk?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like when it comes time to record, I just try to, I don't know. I feel like I just want to go in with an approach that's open-minded, but also I just kind of want to do what I do. You know, I feel like I'm pretty good at making the fart noises with my mouth, and I feel like I'm fairly decent at doing the burping and Cookie Monster stuff. And you know, when Kyle just tells me like, do this part and just do it this way, and I just feel like I can just go in and execute. You know, it's all very surgical in a way.
Surgical precision and brutality.
Yeah, exactly.
And of course, another death metal throat piece that you included on the new album is Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder, another person that I interviewed and gave one hell of an intro too, if I may say so myself.
It was awesome, man. I mean, Trevor's the man. We love him. He's like just the realest, nicest dude. We knew that we wanted. Well, I guess like going back further, he was like he knew about us, and I think he liked us from the very first demo, if I'm not mistaken. He was kind of like one of the first people to actually talk about us a little bit, which was crazy because he's like got his finger on the pulse of so much shit, and it's just wild how much metal that dude consumes. I don't think I could ever encompass nearly as much stuff. Uh, but we played a show in Brooklyn at Brooklyn Bazaar. It was like our third or fourth show, I think. And he came out, and we were all really shocked about that. And we just hung out with him, and we had a great time, and we, got to know him a little bit. And then when it came time to record the song, we knew we wanted to have a guest part on that last little section. And Trevor was kind of the first guy that we all thought about. And we reached out to him, and we weren't really expecting him to say yes, because I know he's a really busy dude, but he hit us back immediately and said he was down, and the rest is history, I guess. But I think he killed it, and I love that he's on that record.
So what made you choose him instead of somebody like Will Rama from Mortician or something?
I feel like with a guest vocal, you want somebody who is going to bring something a little bit different to the table. And for us, like the vast majority of our stuff vocally is very low. And if we just had somebody who came in and did some more low guttural vocals on a track, like you might not even register that it's a guest vocal part. And we kind of wanted people to be like, oh shit, like that is very different than what I'm hearing for most of this album. And Trevor is kind of an obvious choice for that because he's got that crazy high-pitched scream. And I feel like as far as metal vocalists go, his high pitch is like very instantly recognizable. It's like, that's Trevor from the Black Dahlia Murder. And we just wanted that character on that song. We wanted to mix it up a little bit.
And you got character for sure. And I think that's one of the things for death metal bands that's especially important to have, because there is such a death metal resurgence, but there's also a lot of bands that sound like the same handful of influences from the 90s. So what's your recipe for coming up with your own special flavor of Undeath, where you honor the past without playing repeat?
I think what it boils down to is that when we get together and we put together songs, and I mean, Kyle, our like, he's one of two guitarists, but he's kind of the main songwriting force in the band. I think he just has a really unique approach to riffs, and I think he's got a really different sensibility when it comes to how he writes death metal. I think he approaches it from more of like I don't want to say classical because that sounds too like, poofy, but I think he just looks at things differently. He's got a more measured approach to the way that he writes riffs, and he wants things to be catchy and hooky and memorable, and instead of just being like, a breakdown for 7 minutes or something like that. And I think that's kind of like our little secret sauce. It's just his whatever's going on in his brain is kind of like our special recipe,
Weed.
Yeah, weed. Weed and caffeine for sure.
What was one of the first times you really had a heavy metal heart on?
Man, I think it's like way different than what Undeath does, but one of the first metal, like straight metal albums I can think of, because I was into a lot of like the metal influenced hardcore, like I liked stuff like Converge and stuff like that. But I think the first metal album that really blew my mind was Between the Buried and Me, Colors. Because I remember my buddy in high school, he had the Colors live DVD, and we used to just get so fucking blown and just watch that thing. And I had like an appreciation for like the classics, I guess. Like I like, Iron Maiden and Black Sabbath and stuff like that. But that was the first like modern contemporary band that was doing shit like right then that was relevant, that I really sat down and gained an appreciation for. Because it was crazy, because the dude would just do these crazy, like super low, vicious vocals, and then he just sails into this like operatic, clean voice. And meanwhile, I think the guitarist's name is Paul Wagner. I think that's it, Wagner. He just was doing some shit that I never really heard before, and that album just blew a lot of doors open for me. So I'd say that was like the first time I loved a metal album.
Indeed. And you always remember your first.
Yeah, 100%. I think as a bonus too, I think that the first Mayhem album, De Mysteries Don Satanas, because not only was the music like crazy, but it was also like, holy shit, like this dude killed this guy and blah blah blah, and all that mystery and mystique was very powerful for me for sure.
It's that problematic riff sauce that they bring to the table.
it's that little problematic stank.
What else are you listening to?
Oh man, let's see. I really liked that Caustic Wound album from last year, Death Posture. I thought that was sick. The Frozen Soul record that just dropped, I thought that was awesome. That's like such a great album to lift weights to. Like it's just, I feel like it was tailor made for that kind of shit. What's that? I just listened to this new band last night that I really liked. I think it was called like Ebony Pendant. It's like just black metal type stuff, but I really enjoyed that. And let's see if there's anything. The Faceless Burial record from last year, I think it was called Speciation. That was really cool. And then, let's see, I'm gonna think of one more. Calligram. That band's cool. I think they're from England. They might be kind of more spread out, but kind of a very fast, ferocious sounding black metal. The album is called The Eye is the First Circle. I listened to that one a lot. That band's really sick.
Keep black metal ferocious sounding above all else.
Please. That's all I want.
But of course, we all live for the stage. So I want to know, tell me about one concert memory that really left a mark on your soul.
Sure. Yacha. That band I think they're from Nashville? I feel like that's wrong. Somewhere that's not the East Coast. They're I don't know. Do you know that band?
I've heard of their name, yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome, dude. They're like just really like experimental, sludgy, doomy type stuff, but they blast, they go fast.
They did a split with Chipong, right?
Yes, that just came out, I think.
Yeah,
I still gotta listen to that. Yeah,
another band whose name I can't pronounce, I'm sure.
Chipang?
Yeah.
Yacha is awesome. I saw them at the Bug Jar, which is this tiny little bar venue in Rochester. God, it was probably like 4 or 5 years ago at this point with Ringworm. And they fucking blew my mind. They were incredible. And I still think about that set all the time. They were just so locked in, and they just were this one cohesive unit, and they like didn't count in for any songs. They just like knew exactly what they were doing. That just blew my mind. And they were just totally in sync with each other, and their music was just really just like raising and vicious, and that band is awesome, and I really can't recommend them enough. And I think if anybody ever has a chance to see them live after the apocalypse is over, I think they should definitely take that, because I don't think you should miss that. What's
the most brutal mosh pit you've ever been in?
I'm not really a mosher. I'm kind of a stand at I'm a hug the wall, arms folded kind of guy.
Yeah.
But let's see. I know I've accidentally been in some before. I saw Revenge in Toronto like 3 or 4 years ago. They were opening for Mayhem, and I drove up to see them. And I was kind of like standing in the middle of the venue, like right in the middle of like the pit area. And then the pit just like exploded all around me, and I kind of had to mosh to survive a little bit. So that was probably like the most harrowing mosh pit I think I've ever been in. But
the war metal special.
Yeah. And there's also been times that like there's bands that I want to see, I want to get like right up front for, and then I actually have a good one. When Undeath toured we did a little like long weekend run with Sanguisugabog in like last November, and we played a show at the Meat Locker in Jersey, and I was like getting progressively more and more drunk as the night went on, and then Sanguisugabog went on, and they started playing. And, obviously the place just exploded. There was this huge pit. And I was like, had all this drunk confidence. And I was like, I'm going to fucking mosh. Like, tonight's the night. And I was really feeling myself. And I jumped in, got shoved all the way to the front. And then some dude grabbed me and just pulled me down instantly, skidded probably like 10 feet. And I ended up like really hurting my wrist. And I had a cast on my wrist, like a makeshift cast, like for the rest of those shows. And of course, that was the one time in the past 5 years, besides that accidental revenge pit, that I've ever attempted to mosh, and I immediately hurt myself.
Shut down.
Yeah, it's not meant to be for me, you know? I gotta stay by the wall where I'm comfy.
The final track of your album, Lesions of a Different Kind, available out now on Prosthetic Records, is Archfiend Coercion Methods, which is one of my favorite tracks on the whole album. Was that inspired by a Doom session?
Kyle wrote that one, and Kyle loves Doom, so I'm gonna wager a guess, and I'm gonna say yes.
Totally cool. And it's an excellent video game to play while listening to Undeath. To all you dorks out there watching, you can thank us later.
Yeah, dude, we fucking love Doom. I love it myself, but Kyle is like a Doom head for sure. And I remember when we announced the Lesions, the album, we did like a John Romero cameo. I don't remember how it happened, but we got him to just like shout out the album name and say when it was dropping, and that was pretty huge.
Wow. Yeah. Many fond memories over the year of Doom. Of course, playing Morbid Angel with the classic Doom is just a match made in hell. And now the Doom Eternal, if you haven't played it yet, it's a fucking killer game.
It's awesome.
Great button masher to waste hours at a time and not even get past the boss that you're stuck at.
I think Kyle ended up doing a Doom WAD that had like the Sentient Atalysis art in it, and like the music played while you were playing Doom or some shit. Like he told me about it a couple times. I haven't seen it yet, but I think that's something that we might update at some point with like the new songs.
The album artwork is like the Bob Ross painting of death metal album covers. And I hear it was designed by your drummer stepping into the artiste role. How did that come about? Did you plan to have like the happy little Legion monster decapitating the person, or like how was that creative process like?
Matt, yep, our drummer, he does all of our album art. He did the first demo, and he did Sentient also. And yeah, we just knew we wanted to have him do the full length, and we kind of just told him to go crazy, and he would show us bit by bit the album as he was working on it, and it was just blowing our minds. You know, we didn't specifically, I mean, maybe Kyle and Matt had some secret conversations, but as far as I know, we didn't tell him like, okay, dude, you have to put this like Legions monster decapitating this dude in the center, and then like this dude is tied up here. He just kind of like went into his lizard brain and just went crazy, and the result is what you see. And I think it's fucking insane. I love that cover.
Insane in the lizard brain.
Yeah, dude, you nailed it.
What are you looking forward to on the horizon?
I'm looking forward to the potentiality of playing some shows again. You know, it's obviously with the way that things are going, it's hard to be too optimistic, but you know, people are saying that maybe we might be able to have some shows by the fall. If that happens, that's great. You know, I would love to get out there and play these songs for people and tour a little bit, and you know, do all the stuff that we were planning on doing this past year and actually kind of make some tours happen. Beyond that, you know, we got the next album pretty much fully written. I want to say it's like 90% there. We're recording that in March. So if all else fails and shows don't happen anytime soon, at least we'll have new music that we can work on, you know? So that would be the two big ticket items for me.
Ooh, death metal ticket, hot and coming in the near future. So keep your brains peeled for some upcoming Undeath. And I want to know, what do you want to say to all the heavy metal hellraisers who are watching out there?
I want to say, keep raising hell, you sick freaks. I want to say, shout out to, you know, anyone and everyone who's listened to the album and said nice things to us and supported us. It really, like I said at the beginning, it's pretty overwhelming, and I'm very, you know, honored that people enjoy it, and just want to say, can't thank y'all enough for that, for sure. And just keep fucking making good music that I can listen to because there's not a lot else to do these days. So if you're in a sick metal band, keep fucking churning out demos and EPs and albums because I need them.
Keep cranking out the riffs.
Yeah, keep cranking.
Yeah, stay at it, boys. And that does lead me to one more question that I had, because I normally talk to my guests about their sickest concerts or the most hard-hitting mosh pit, but I want to know, tell me about the worst gig you ever played.
It probably wasn't with Undeath because we've only played like 12 shows. I was in a couple bands before Undeath that played some shows that had some pretty pitiful attendance. I mean, that's just how it goes, you know. I remember one of my old bands played a show in Baltimore. Man, it must have been like 2016, 2017. And I think there was one or two people there, and we played in a basement that smelled like cat pee. And it was just like a really miserable experience. Like it wasn't, that's the thing, is it wasn't like, I don't think I've ever played any shows that were like comically bad. You know, I've just played shows that like made me want to stop playing music. I was like, what's like, so it's just like a lot of shit that's like, what's the fucking point? But that one was funny.
What band was that?
That was with a band that I played in called Druce. It's more like screamo type stuff. I really loved being in that band, and you know, we're not officially done, but we haven't really been active in several years at this point. Everybody's kind of doing their own thing, but yeah, you know, that band, we had some really great shows at home, and then we would go on the road, and occasionally we would play like a really sick show, but for the most part, attendance was sparse at those shows. But you know, the community with underground screamo stuff is kind of not, I feel like in certain ways not really as enthusiastic as metal fans are, you know. But yeah, that Baltimore show sticks out in my mind as like the single most disappointing show I've played.
Disappointed.
But there's nothing more metal than just being disappointed. So
yeah, right.
Every silver lining's got a touch of gray, you know.
Yeah, Baltimore's a long way to go for glorified band practice.
100%. And you know, at the end of the day, like it's easy to get frustrated and upset about shit like that. But like, I love all the guys in that band, and you know, we had some really amazing times together. So even if we did play some shows that were kind of stinky doo doo, like I had a fucking blast being in the van with them. So you know, you gotta have some you gotta have in every life some rain must fall, I think the expression is.
You got to temper the good times with the cat pee in basements sometimes.
Yeah, dude, it's the yin and yang of existence. You know, there's a push and pull to everything.
Thank you to Alex Jones from Undeath. Check out the new album, skull-crushing death metal, Lesions of a Different Kind. And until then, this has been One-on-One with the Grim One. I am the Necrosexual. Hey, Alex, I'll see you in hell, baby.
Hell yeah, bro. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.